Hi, everybody, and thanks for joining us today. Today, we're discussing cloud security. This topic is top of mind for many organizations. However, it can be a complex topic, and we want to give you some insights into the key considerations and potential challenges in developing a comprehensive cloud security strategy. We're pleased to be joined today by our special guest, Andres Chair, Vice President and Principal Analyst at Forrester, covering cloud security and identity and access management. Andres, it's great to have you with us.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. It's good to be here.
And we want to touch on several critical questions and issues facing our customers, such as what is cloud security? What are some of the top emerging threats and trends impacting cloud security? What are some of the technology considerations that should be evaluated when developing a comprehensive cloud security strategy? And of course, all along the way, we want to give customers some practical and concrete advice and guidance as they are developing their own cloud security strategy. So let's go ahead and get started. First, Andres, let's talk a little bit about what is cloud security. It can mean many different things to many different customers. So I just wanted to get your perspective and ground this conversation and how you think about cloud security and what are the main functions involved in cloud security.
Sure. So I think we want to talk about the following distinct areas, right? So one thing is when you have infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service kinds of environments, right? Applications, and you want to secure those, right? So basically, this means that if you have, some kind of a cloud app, like Salesforce or Workday or whatever you have running, how do you make sure that's a safe and secured application? Second thing, or another very common definition is basically native cloud security, so infrastructure as a service platform, native security services out there. And then you're definitely looking at cloud security could be achieved also by sourcing on-premises security solutions and trying to cover these cloud tools. So you can think of it as security in the cloud, security of the cloud, and security from the cloud.
What are you seeing, Andres, in terms of what is driving the heightened interest in cloud security? Or what's driving the adoption of cloud security solutions? Sure. And what are customers really trying to solve for?
Obviously, the cloud and its adoption as an infrastructure or kind of component or delivery form factor is an important story, right? You definitely are looking at things along the lines of, the COVID causing a lot of staffing challenges. So just the fact that operating on-premises data centers have become just a lot more difficult in the past year and a half, it absolutely boosted the cloud adoption. Another thing that drives cloud security interest is multi-cloud, right? You have most organizations, because of planning or because of just organic growth or internal political battles, it doesn't really matter, but operating in more than one cloud environment like Azure, AWS, Google Cloud Platform, IBM, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, and others, right? So that's definitely an important thing. And they're looking for a singular view and solid, robust, repeatable security across all these environments. There's a lot more software as a service applications with a lot more data stored in these applications. So, and understanding any shadow IT activities, anything that is a non-sanctioned kind of activity is very much important. And then beyond these things is definitely just the operational efficiency, labor cost reduction, right? You cannot have armies of people administering these environments, right? You cannot just scale up your workforce members, with the growth of computing infrastructure, cloud infrastructure. And obviously the compliance, external and internal audit regulatory requirements are very, very important here as well. Every vertical has its own set of standards and requirements that also have to be enforced, not obviously just on-prem, but also in the cloud. So that's definitely part of the conversation. And then, the usual privacy aspect, customer trust and privacy really dictate that data protection, privacy policies also have to be in order, right? So I think these are probably the most important elements here that we see.
Are you seeing broader macro trends in terms of the types of threats or risks that are inserted into the cloud environment or becoming more relevant in the cloud environment?
First of all, it's all on the public internet, right? So, we start from there. So the moment you set up your instances, object storage, file storage, network constructs, you can assume that there will be script kiddies basically persistently attacking and relentlessly attacking your environment from the internet, right? So you have to be able to make sure that you have some kind of a VPN, VPC configuration set up that really segregates the network constructs and allows communication between your components of your cloud infrastructure, but not necessarily from the internet for those machines, for those pieces of infrastructure, such as application servers or databases, where you really want to limit that to your employees or system administrators or infrastructural components, right? So that's the biggest thing, that there's no network perimeter. You have to make sure that all the configuration policies for the network, the corporate network and the intra-cloud network, if you will, between your applications is secure, right? The other thing that I would also mention, I would call it the configuration and the drift of configuration management. So it's really easy to actually log into the console, the Azure Security Center or AWS Management Console or GCP console towers, right? And make really a quick change to some artifacts or start new instances, start new storage in a configuration state that may be too permissive, right? So misconfiguration and drift of configuration really happens quickly. If you add the fact that a lot of these environments are actually created and configured, maybe created, commissioned, and decommissioned from infrastructure as code, so continuous improvement and continuous delivery build pipelines such as Jenkins, Terraform, and others, right? It's really, you're going to be creating these pieces of infrastructure really quickly from programmatic ways, right? And that in of itself just creates a lot of questions, because you might have a conflict between whoever is creating these artifacts, instances, objects, network configurations from Jenkins or Terraform pipeline with your security policies. So you have to play that as well. I would also add the identity aspect to this. So it's very easy to create over-privileged admin users in cloud consoles, or even in a container security world, container configuration management type of areas, right? I would also say that the identity aspect is really important. So how you represent identities from the on-prem for business user community to the cloud-based applications is definitely important. Data protection is always like another hugely problematic thing. It's always key management, how the keys are available, who can get access to the keys, under what circumstances for data encryption, decryption, and also any kind of data protection types of things. And lastly, I would mention shadow IT. A lot of organizations many times just kind of want to leapfrog their corporate IT and IT security or centralized bodies and buy access to applications that are not centrally sanctioned and are not necessarily vetted for security, reputation, etc. You really have to understand what's going on with these applications, especially what kind of data is being uploaded to these applications, how these applications are being used.
From your perspective, Andres, what are some of the key complexities or considerations for customers who are in a multi-cloud environment as they're developing their cloud security strategy? What does that multi-cloud environment, what kind of unique challenges does that introduce into their strategy?
So basically, who controls what and who's responsible for what is definitely an important thing. You definitely want to have some kind of a RACI chart, responsibilities, accountabilities, communication and contribution type of aspects here, and to have a formalized way of how the organization actually governs and manages these multi-cloud environments, right? A lot of the native cloud based tooling tooling, right, for configuration management, network security, encryption, identity management, are going to be fundamentally different across the infrastructure as a service types of environments, right? So cloud platforms. If you have just a naive way of approaching these environments, right, you're really looking at duplication of effort, right? So case in point, you have to build your web application firewall and next gen firewall policies individually and separately for Azure, AWS, GCP, OCI, and all these other platforms you might have in the organization, and that means a lot of work, right? And in many cases, duplication of effort. A lot of times, multi-cloud also involves on-premises kinds of or private cloud environments where all bets are off the table. There's no standardization. You might see kind of in-house built security solutions, in-house built scripts, configuration management type of things, which may completely be, contradicting each other or maybe going against anything you might be seeing in the cloud, right? That are public cloud native security kinds of setups, right? You cannot really manage those from the security perspective using on-prem tools or legacy proxy-based kind of solutions that really build on the network perimeter. So, I'd say, multi-cloud is really an interesting question. Everybody's wanting to move towards fewer panes of glass or single pane of glass visibility, even if that may not be a reality yet, right? So, but multi-cloud is definitely a requirement, right? So it's not a bad thing. It is definitely something that some organizations do because, like I said, of just the organic growth, they acquire different companies, each of which had been using a different cloud service provider prior, or internally there had been departments that kind of gravitated earlier to one of the cloud service providers, and that's what you have right now. But also, there's organizations that really are consciously planning on multi-cloud to avoid any kind of a vendor lock-in, right? So they're wanting to go towards multiple cloud environments and operate their workloads in multiple cloud environments so that they can avoid any kind of lock-in from the technology stack perspective as well.
What are some of the key technologies that can help customers in their cloud security strategy?
Let's just kind of go from the simpler ones to the more esoteric or complex ones. So the cloud native security framework, right? So we call it infrastructure as a service platform native security, is definitely the good building block, right? I mean, yes, it's all over the place if you have multiple clouds, but you really have you have to rely on this, right? So this is some of the logging, some of the web application firewall encryption, cloud workload protection, agent or agentless, and some of the configuration management tooling. Beyond this, right, when you want to kind of move towards a single cloud, a single pane of glass, single tool view of multiple cloud platforms, right, then you're looking at a number of tools. We call them, collectively cloud workload security, but within cloud workload security, you would see things like cloud security posture management, CSPM, which is all about, connecting via APIs to the policy management API of the cloud platform, really ingesting into the cloud CSPM tool, the current configuration, defining a known good configuration, setting some templates, following some best practices that the CSPM tool provides, for example, encrypting storage or making sure that storage is not widely open, kinds of things, and then being able to detect and remediate and correct any kinds of drifts from that configuration. And in this configuration, you can also look at various compliance templates such as PCI DSS, FERC, NERC, HIPAA, GLB, SOX, and various other type of requirements. So that's cloud security posture management. Another very common area is cloud workload protection, which is really typically about monitoring the workload of the operating system, the guest operating system that is running on a hypervisor virtual machine. You're looking for things like detecting file integrity changes to files, antivirus, privilege escalation, memory corruption. In addition to this, many cloud workload protection tools also offer things like host-based firewalls, intrusion detection, intrusion prevention kinds of tooling, as well as some kind of network security, guest OS level network security segmentation. And typically these tools are agent-based, although we're seeing some agent-less capabilities coming to mind that you can kind of observe the file storage from below and connect to the file storage used to run that operating system and detect any kind of changes from without having to install an agent. Within this domain, there's what we call cloud identity governance, which is also called cloud identity entitlement management. It's all about understanding which admin user has what kind of level of privilege to the console of the cloud platform, and how they're able to perform tasks, and making sure that you have a zero trust least privilege kind of environment where no admin has excessive rights, and you can understand how you traverse through various constructs like roles, session policies, access control lists, etc., from a user principle that can be a human admin user or a machine principle, all the way to a resource like an Azure Blob or whatever you might have. So that's cloud identity governance. There's definitely the CASB or Cloud Security Gateway aspect to this, which is really more focused towards the DLP to software as a service applications, so cloud storage, box, Dropbox kinds of environments, making sure that you're not uploading content and data to these environments that you shouldn't be uploading. There's also threat detection, so anomalous amount of data uploads, protection in CASBs, as well as any kind of a file case management, understanding the riskiest users, investigating their activities, uploads, downloads. And then typically in CASBs, we also see shadow IT detections, understanding who through a proxy or some kind of network interception, who's using what kind of unsanctioned or shadow IT kinds of cloud applications to potentially upload sensitive or personally identifiable information pieces, and thus violating corporate data security policies.
And we're also hearing a lot of discussion around Devsecops and the concept of shifting left as it relates to developing, deploying, and operating secure applications. So I wanted to get your perspective on that topic in particular. Are you hearing this as a key concern amongst customers, and how should customers think about approaching Devsecops in the cloud?
Devsecops is somewhat orthogonal to cloud security, right? So you can use DevSec in a lot of ways without the cloud, but there's, you're right, probably 90% of containerized or DevSec types of deployments, always happen in some kind of in a cloud context, right? So, DevSecOps typically concerns itself with containerization and container technologies, so running workloads in containers. Shift left really refers to the ability of being able to do vulnerability checks of workload and operating systems before these operating systems actually start running and get commissioned. So looking at images, making sure that these images do not contain malicious code, malware, misconfigurations, etc. And only when these checks are completed can the workload be put into, into a running state into production, right? So that's definitely there. And then obviously controlling the images that, container images or otherwise operating system images that you can put into production, you can put into a running state, and defining a few so-called golden images is definitely a best practice in this shift left paradigm as well.
Where's a great place for customers to get started? And maybe consider this in two different scenarios. One, a customer may just be starting on their cloud security journey, and another customer might be more mature. But what's a great way for customers to get started?
Cloud security posture management is a decent first step here, because that is the cataloging of what you have in the cloud. So even if an organization has already kind of led the horse out of the barn, right, and they just developers starting putting things into the cloud like without any necessarily governance or control, once you connect to the cloud platform through the policy management APIs, you can definitely enumerate these and discover these workloads, and that will give organizations a good enough shock, right, to understand that, hey, we got how much data we have in the cloud and what kind of security problems we might have in the cloud, and there's really no way to hide from these types of CSPM checks, right? As long as the cloud security posture management tool is able to connect to the entirety with the highest level of privileges to the cloud platform, you can enumerate all the objects, all the instances, all the object and file storage, all the network constructs, and really get a good understanding of how they stand.
Let's close with a little bit of a look towards the future. Obviously, it's impossible to predict the future, but how do you see this playing out over the course of the next 12 to 24 months? How do you think cloud security will look different than it does today? Or how do you think priorities might be different in that time frame?
We are going to see a lot more analytics. That I think the whole innovative aspect of cloud security will be in again, understanding anomalies based on artificial intelligence and machine learning type of algorithms. This environment typically has 7 instances running, at this point in time, how come now there's 700 instances running, kinds of things. So the same kind of seasonality adjusted time. I think we're going to see a lot of shift towards the edge of all these capabilities. So a lot of the security capabilities that we thought about will also be applicable to not only traditional public cloud platforms, but also edge-based types of outpost or other type of on-prem, public or private clouds, governance of access rights across the entire stack here. So looking at things like, which admin has access to what and who approved that, how, out of all the privileges for an admin rights, how much an admin is using, and then basically presenting this information to the reviewer, the manager or super admin to make a decision whether there's a need to kind of ratchet down or adjust or decrease the admin's access rights based on the fact that they may not be using 7 out of 10 of their privileges that they have assigned to. So again, moving towards the lesser privilege, zero trust type of model is definitely something out there. And then data protection, you can never have enough of this. So there's going to be a lot of additional focus on just protecting data, being able to use all these tools and all these pieces of infrastructure, security pieces of infrastructure with various key management portals, key management tools, so that you can further kind of extract and externalize the entire key management, data protection, encryption types of algorithms. And lastly, I would say there's going to be a more and more focus on confidential computing. So, trusted boot, trusted firmware, homomorphic encryption, collaborative encryption types of things. So clearly addressing privacy and data protection in a much more distributed world. So in a nutshell.
So obviously there are a lot of important factors to evaluate and considering when implementing a cloud security strategy, and also a lot of opportunity for customers to strengthen their overall cloud security strategy. And with that, Andras, I'd like to thank you very much for joining the conversation today and giving us your perspective and your insights.
Excellent. My pleasure. Good talking to you.
Now let's close with a few additional summary points and some additional resources. We have a comprehensive set of capabilities to help you protect your multi-cloud and hybrid environment, to strengthen the secure configuration of your cloud resources, protect your workloads and apps from threats of all types, and control access to critical apps and resources, and of course, build and operate secure apps in the cloud. So we encourage you to learn more about these solutions, or if you're already using them, learn about the latest capabilities that you should be using now to strengthen your overall cloud security. And you can learn more at our cloud security website. And finally, here are a few additional sessions that you should check out. There is an Ignite session dedicated to showcasing the latest product updates for cloud security. And this is a great place to start. Again, I want to thank Andres for the discussion, and we look forward to seeing you all soon.
We've already learned so much here at Microsoft Ignite. We've learned how to protect our organizations against the latest adversarial trends, stay resilient while managing risk and compliance, and how to strengthen our security posture from some of the industry's principal thought leaders. Now, get excited as we look ahead to the future of security in today's upcoming sessions. Hi, I'm Jessica Feku, Security Product Marketing Manager here at Microsoft. We just enjoyed Cloud Security Product Marketing Manager Adam Young and Forrester's Vice President and Principal Analyst Andres Cesar as they shared with us top trends and emerging risks customers are facing today and share how organizations can best develop a comprehensive end-to-end security strategy. Learn more about this and how you can confidently embrace the future of security by checking out our other sessions. You won't want to miss this discussion with Microsoft Principal Program Manager Aaron Miyake, Principal Engineering Program Manager Glenn Coletta, and Senior Program Manager Maud Teja-Venetia, joined by Carnegie Mellon's Dan Costa on a discussion about the unique challenges of insider risk and how to build an effective insider risk management program to meet these needs. Do you have any questions about anything you've heard in today's sessions? Ask us in the chat. Join us with live subject matter experts that are available during every session. If you can't make a session, don't worry, we've got you covered. Everything's available on demand at aka.ms/msignite21_security/on-demand. For the latest on what's happening in Microsoft security, visit us on the web at www.microsoft.com/security or follow us on social at MSFT Security on Twitter and Microsoft Security on LinkedIn. Thank you so much for joining us at Microsoft Ignite.